Okay, the learning goals are in the top. You can just fit that somewhere on your paper. I'm gonna scroll down, but at the somewhere on your paper, I think you have room underneath from looking at most of yours. We're gonna write down 4 quick little definitions. So underneath your, I'll go back to this, Elizabeth. So underneath, if you can please write the definitions down. Included angle is our first one. Included angle. So just underneath your tab, in that blank space, just please write 4 definitions. Okay, so the included angle is the angle in between 2 congruent sides. So angle in between, and I'm just abbreviating between. If you don't know that, you can write out the whole word. Angle in between the 2 congruent sides. And all this will make more sense once you see it. It's all weird looking like. Okay, the non-included angle. Just squeeze it somewhere. If not, you can put it on a separate sheet. The non-included angle is not in between the 2 congruent sides. Again, this will make more sense once we start going through it. Okay, next one is the included side. So hopefully you see a pattern here. Included just means it's going to be in between something. So the included side is the side in between the 2 congruent angles. And the non-included side would be where? Good, not in between. Not in between the 2 congruent angles. Okay, when you're done, if you can open that top tab that says SSS. SSS stands for, what do we see on that tab?
Side.
Side. So we're going over, there's 5 ways to prove that 2 triangles are congruent. So that was our learning goal. We're proving 2 triangles are congruent. So let's talk about what congruent means one more time. Congruent means what? That should be an easy word for us. Equal or the same. So if we think about a triangle, what is a triangle made up of?
3 sides.
3 sides and 3 angles, right? So if all of those angles and sides are congruent, then I know that my triangles are congruent. So there's different combinations, which are written here. So there are 5 different ways, or 5 different combinations that we can use to prove that triangles are congruent. So first one is side. You usually just say that, SSS, or side, not like or something like that. So if all 3 sides are congruent here, then I know that my triangles are congruent. So I'm going to move to my top tab there. So if 3, what do we think we're filling in the blank here with? Sides. Of one triangle are congruent to 3 sides. Of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent.
Yeah.
So we are actually going to list out these congruent sides. So I'm going to go ahead and mark them for you. Remember we mark congruent sides with dashes. Hopefully you remember that. So I'm going to go ahead and list out if ... AB is congruent to, we want to match them in corresponding spots, right? So they should go in a certain order. If I said AB in my other triangle, that would be congruent to what? Chris, what you think? AB would be in the same spot as DE. Very good. So it's just kind of going back to like our kindergarten matching, making sure we're finding the same placement there. So that's one of my sides. Make sure you're marking them with the dashes. Okay, I'm going to mark my next set of sides. How many dashes do you think I'm going to use now? How many dashes do I need now? 2, right? To signify that I'm moving on to a different side. So I can say that BC is congruent to, Queasy, what do you think BC would be congruent to? Look at that placement. On the other triangle, it's in the same spot as where? Look at your paper. B to C would be in the same spot as where? Good. So I'm going to say E to F since I said B to C. So E, F, and I'm just naming those line segments, making sure I use the right symbols. So those are my 2 dashes. So let's put 2 dashes on B, C, and E, F. And my third side, how many dashes am I going to use? 3. Very good. So my last set is going to be AC and what? DF. Okay, so if I see that all 3 of my sides are marked, and we're going to practice this after our foldable, once we see this picture with all 3 sides marked, I know that my triangles are congruent, so then I can say, then my triangle, the way we name a triangle is with a little baby triangle. That's our symbol, just a little baby triangle. And then I name it with a 3 points. So if I said A, B, C, I would have to use it in that same order. So A, B, C would be in the same order as what 3 letters? D, E, F. So I'd say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle D, E, F. And I ran out of space, so I'm going to move mine over here. Okay, this is called our congruent statement. If you can please write down that vocab word. I know it's not a ton of room, but I believe in you. That is the congruence statement. So saying that triangle, blah, 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 is congruent to triangle, blah, blah, blah. They have to be in matching order. So you can't just put any combination. They have to be corresponding or matching. Okay, we're going to move down to the tab underneath, which is what? What's my next one underneath?
Side angle.
Side, angle, side. Very good. Okay, so we have how many, just looking at my front tab, can I move from here? It says congruent statement. Congruent statement. Okay, so actually look at the front tab for side, angle, side. Even the letters tell you what is given to you. So how many sides would be given to me here? How many sides? 2, right? 2 sides and how many angles? 1. So if I'm looking, the angle, even in these letters, is sandwiched in between the 2 sides, right? So whenever I have an angle in between, remember our vocab words down there, is that included or non-included if it's in between? If it's in between. Look down at your vocab word. It is the included angle, so we're going to write that on the front. So that just means it's sandwiched in between the 2 sides. And I promise this seems tricky, but it's one of our easier sections once you start practicing it. Alright, so open your tab. I'm going to go ahead and mark the picture for you. So let's fill in the blank here. If 2 sides and the included angle are congruent to two sides and the included angle of another triangle, then we know they're congruent. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the information for you, and then we'll write it down together. So I'm going to put 2 dashes there. I'm going to put 1 dash there. Make sure yours is matching mine. And then we're going to do the included angle, not the third side. We want the included angle, so it has to be in between my two sides. So that's going to be at angle A and angle D. So make sure your picture looks like mine. Okay, we're drawing in the information. Usually it's already there for you. So whatever's marked is what we're going to write down. Okay, so we're going to list out the criteria, which is the 3 pieces of information that they gave me. So I'm going to start with my 1 dash. First of all, is that a side that I marked, or is that an angle that I marked? Where the dash is. How do I, when I use a dash, am I marking a side or an angle? Side. Marking a side, so it's good that you can recognize that. So I'm going to list out AB is congruent to, where's my 1 dash over here?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I'm going to go with my second dash, so I would say AC is congruent to, Eddie, what do you think? Good. Okay, and I'm not marking the third side because it is blank. Do you guys see how there are only 2 sides marked here? Yes. So you're only writing down the information that is marked. So my third piece of information is actually a what? Not a side, but a what?
Angle.
Angle. So I'm going to mark angle A is congruent to angle what? Diego? Good. So angle A is congruent to angle D. So that is all the information that they gave me, so that's the only thing that I'm going to be marking. Right? So if I have that information, then I can say that my triangles are congruent. So I'm going to write my congruent statement, triangle ABC, and be careful on this one. Maybe turn to your partner and tell them what I would do to finish that. Which means you can talk. Triangle ABC would be congruent to triangle what? Maybe talk to your partner about that. Be careful.
Triangle.
They have to be in matching spots, right? So if I did A, B, C, Brandy, what do you think? D, F, E. Very good. So that one kind of tricked you a little bit. D, F, E. They have to be in matching spots. All right, moving on. What's my third tab?
Angle, side,
Angle, side, angle. That side is in between my 2 angles, so is that included or non-included? If it's in between, is it included? Very good, it's included. Am I going too fast?
Yes. You're going really fast. That's okay. We got it.
You want me to go back?
I do need you to go back just real quick. Get a picture. Yeah.
Alright, so let's fill in these blanks.
Okay. Okay.
If 2 what? For angle, side, angle, what did they give us 2 of?
2 sides.
Look back.
Angles.
There are 2 what?
Angles.
2 angles and 1 side, right? So this is going to be 2 angles and the included side. So even the letters tell you what they're giving you. Are congruent to 2 angles and the included side. Then my triangles are congruent. So I'm going to mark this one for you and let you guys try this one with your partner. So I'm going to mark angle A. I'm going to mark angle B. And I'm going to use 2 arcs. Remember, it's just a matching game, so the 2 arcs go together. And then the included side is going to be right in between. So I'm giving you this information. It's always going to be given to you. Today we're just drawing it ourselves. So make sure your pictures look like mine. Then I'm going to pause the video here and let you guys try to write down your criteria. So I'm going to have you guys do the if and the then part on your own. So again, you're just listing what they gave you. So what side are congruent, what angles are congruent. And I'll pause here. So double check that you got the same answers as me. And then we're moving up to the top, so it's my top right-hand tab.
Angle, angle, side.
Angle, angle, side. Is my side in between the two angles?
Nope.
No, it's not. So that is called the what side?
Non-included side.
Very good, Pussy. That's the non-included side. So we can even tell by the way it's written, it's not sandwiched in between, so therefore it's called non-included. So it's going to be off to the side. So angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Oh. Alright, so if two, what do they give me two of? Angles. And the non-included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the non-included side. So I'm going to write down what you should mark down. We're going to do angle A. We're going to do angle B. And instead of doing that included side in between, we're going to pick one that's on the outside. So I'm going to pick A, C, and D either. So make sure you're seeing the difference here. It is no longer in between the two angles, okay? That dash has moved to the outside, so that's why it's non-included. So I already see some people listing out their criteria. Please list out your side and your two angles that are congruent. I'll pause for a second while you do that. All right, so double check that you got the same answers as me on that one, and we're moving on to our last one, which is hypotenuse leg. Raise your hand if you've heard the word hypotenuse before.
No.
Are you recording still?
It is recording again because I am lessening, teaching. Hypotenuse. We should recognize that. Different word than hypothesis. The hypotenuse is only on one certain triangle. Does anyone know what triangle we see a hypotenuse? Right triangle. A right triangle, I heard Quincy say. So we're going to draw a picture of a right triangle on that front tab. We're drawing a picture on the front tab of a right triangle. How do I know for sure it's a right triangle? What do I need to add to this picture?
The right angle.
The right angle, which is shown with a what?
Box.
With the box. With the box. What's your drawing this on the front tab?
My bad, my stomach hurt.
Okay, so to find the hypotenuse, it is always across from, anyone know? How to find the hypotenuse? There's always a quick way to do it. It's always across from the right angle. So I'm going to draw an arrow straight across. That long slanted side is my hypotenuse. So put an H there. Always across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Can you guys say hypotenuse?
Hypotenuse.
Good. Okay, and then the other sides, both of these other sides are called the legs. So either side are the legs. So this tells me I need to have one set of hypotenuses congruent and one set of legs congruent to be hypotenuse leg. But again, it only applies to what type of triangle?
Right.
A right triangle. So the hypotenuse and a leg of a right triangle are congruent to the hypotenuse and leg of a second right triangle. That would be enough information to tell us that the triangles are congruent. Let's remove your right number. So right now, these are not right triangles. So what do we need to add?
The square.
The square, and then I'm going to give you the rest. So how do I find the hypotenuse?
The slant.
It's always across.
On the square.
It's always right across. So draw your little arrow, and we're going to mark those as congruent. And then I'm going to pick one set of corresponding legs. So I'm just going to pick the bottom, and I'm going to mark it with 2 dashes. So usually there's 3 pieces of information. The third piece of information here is just that we have right triangles, because that only applies to right triangles. So let's do our if and then. So if, let's say AC is congruent to Dakota. What would AC be congruent to? DF. And Marissa, what would my other set of information be? Good. AB is congruent to DE. And I know that they are right triangles. I'm not going to write that. That's my third piece of information. Then I can say that my triangles are congruent by the hypotenuse leg theorem. So I would say then triangle, I'm going to do a hard one, CAB. Go ahead and finish that. What would CAB be congruent to? Did I throw you off? Raise your hand if you think you know how to finish that one.
E.
CAB. Brianna?
FDE.
Good. FDE. Triangle. FDE. Okay, our last two. Or sorry, not our last two, but your last blank down here. So there are two that don't exist. We're just gonna fill them in the blank there. That is angle, angle, angle. Angle, angle, angle. So no matter if they give you two angles, three angles, if it's just the angles, that's not enough information. I can have an equilateral triangle with all equal angles. I can also have a bigger equilateral triangle. Just because they have the same angle measure doesn't mean that they're congruent. Because one of them is bigger or longer than the other one. So that is why angle, angle, angle doesn't work. The other one, there is no side, side angle or angle, side, side. Anyone know why we don't make that one? Angle, side, side would just spell a bad word, right?
Yeah.
So we don't ever write that in geometry.
Oh.
There are no angle, side, side. No angle, side, side. Maybe if you're just real mad at someone one day. I wrote that on. They're an angle, side, side. But that one does not exist. You're never going to write that word. If you are finding yourself writing that word, you have done something wrong. Okay? So those are the 5 theorems. We're going to practice a few, and then you guys are going to do a little cutting, gluing activity. This will be super fun. So we're going to do the top section of your notes over there, which looks like this.
I just remember we just did the same before we created it.
So if you guys weren't actually there. All right, number 1. These are just examples so that you can see how they would look in a problem. So you're trying to determine, are these two triangles congruent? Yes or no. So it's a yes or no question, and then by what theorem did we use to support our answer? So remember, those are the 5 theorems. You can have your little foldable out next to you. The dashes represent what? Sides or angles? Sides. So I'm just going to put an S there and an S there, just on one triangle. We're at the very top. Number 1. Letter A. Okay, that little dot in the middle is representing an angle. If you want to turn it into an arc, you're more than welcome to do that. Just representing an angle. So I'm going to put my A right there. So I have 2 sides and 1 angle. That is the included angle. So I would read this side, then what?
Angle side.
Angle side. So this is yes. They match on both triangles. You do have to double check both triangles. And then it is side, angle, side as my support there.
Oh.
Questions? So again, you're ignoring everything else except for what is marked. So let's move on to the next one. What type of triangle am I looking at here?
A right triangle.
A right triangle. So first thing I want to check for is which one?
Angle.
Which is the only one that the H. Oh, right. We're gonna check for hypotenuse leg first because I know that one is always with right triangles. So how do I know which one is my hypotenuse? Is it across the
You gotta cross the little right.
So let's draw our arrows. Are those marked with the same congruent dash?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. So there's my hypotenuse. And do I have one extra set of legs? Yes. So there is enough information. So I'm going to say yes, and that is the hypotenuse leg theorem. Okay, number 3. The only thing different about this, do you guys see how there's a dot and then an open circle?
Yeah.
That's just representing 2 different angles. If you want to make them arcs, you can. But this is an angle.
Angle side.
This is an angle, and then the middle is a what?
Angle side, angle.
That represents a side. And then I end with another angle. So we see that side is sandwiched in between, right?
Yeah.
So it's not angle, angle, side. It's going to be angle, side, angle. So that one's another yes. Okay, look at our last one here. How many sides on one triangle? How many sides are marked? Just 2. Is that enough information for us?
No.
It's not yet, but do you guys see how these are conjoined in the middle?
Yes.
If I pulled those apart, wouldn't they be exactly the same size?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is actually my shared side. Anytime you have a shared side, I can mark it. That is never going to be marked for you. You just have to know that they are congruent and mark it yourself. So anytime we have shared sides, we can mark it. And now we have how many sides marked on one triangle? 3. So what theorem is that? Good. So that is yes by side, side, side theorem. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to do with you, and then I'll pause and let you guys try the last 3 on your own. Questions so far? I know I'm moving fast. So anytime you see shared sides, you have to mark that. In this picture, we have angles that we can mark. Does anyone see a set of angles that I know are congruent?
Where conjoins at?
Where they conjoin. Anyone remember what these types of angles are called? When they are right across from each other? They are vertical. Very good. So anytime we have vertical angles, that's something else that we are just supposed to know to mark. So vertical angles are congruent. So I've marked that. The little circle represents another angle, and then the dash represents a what? Side. So let's write this down. That's a side, that's an angle, and that is an angle. We don't have an SAA. We have a what? AAS. So we're just going in that opposite direction. So this is angle, angle, side. So that's yes, angle, angle, side. You're just looking at one triangle at a time. So again, you see it's not in between. If it were in between them, it would be marked right there, sandwiched in between. Questions before I let you guys try the next 3? All right, I'm going to pause here. Go ahead with your group, with your partner. Mark. First thing you want to do is look for any shared sides or vertical angles to mark. All right, so our last 3 problems. Letter F. Is there anything extra that I had to mark here? Letter F. Is there anything extra that I had to mark? Chris?
They're congruent, like the line.
The shared side, right? So I could mark that is congruent. They gave me 2 angles, so when I write it down, it came out to be angle, angle, side. So that was yes by angle, angle, side. My next one. I don't have anything to mark, right? No shared sides, no vertical angles. So what did they give me in this example?
Angles.
They gave me 1, 2 angles. Is that enough information?
No.
No. So my answer is no. They are not congruent. So there's no theorem there. Last one. We have what types of triangles? Which types of triangles?
Right.
Right. So let's always check for which one first.
HL.
HL. Also, what do I have to mark here?
What's the height?
Across from the right.
Oh, okay, yes. But is there anything extra that I need to add?
No. The line.
Oh,
yeah,
oh, shared sides.
Yes, the shared sides, right? In the middle?
Someone's at the door.
So we're checking for the hypotenuses. Are they congruent?
Yes.
Yes, they are. And I have 1 set of legs, so this was yes and HL. Okay, I'm going to explain your assignment, but that is our lesson.